So you're getting ready for your first chrysanthemum seed harvest, and we're here to help you avoid those marigold mishaps from last year.
Yeah, marigolds can be tricky. What kind of challenges did you run into?
Timing, I think, was the biggest thing.
Right.
We had a hard time figuring out when exactly to collect the marigold heads.
Yeah. It's all about recognizing those subtle cues from the plant.
Well, today we've got this blog post from a software engineer who is also an avid gardener.
Interesting combination.
I know, right? He's chronicling his seed-saving journey. And today he's talking about harvesting chrysanthemum seeds. He says that a good indicator that it's time to harvest is to look for new growth at the base of the plants. He actually says it's like getting the green light.
That's a great analogy. So what's happening is the chrysanthemum flowers, they start to fade, and the plant shifts its energy from blooming to seed production.
Oh, so those new shoots at the base
Hmm.
are like a sign that the plant is putting all its resources into creating those seeds.
Exactly. It's a subtle shift, but it's crucial for harvesting those seeds at peak viability. You see those seeds. They're essentially tiny embryos, packed with the genetic information to create a whole new plant.
So the more energy the plant puts into those seeds, the stronger they are and more likely to germinate.
Exactly.
So thinking back to the marigolds, it sounds like we might have been collecting those heads too early or too late.
Yeah, that's a real possibility. Collecting too early means the seeds haven't fully developed. And collecting too late, well, they might have already started to deteriorate or disperse.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So our blogger friend, he focuses on the visual cue of new growth. But are there other things that can impact seed viability?
Oh, yeah, for sure. The visual cue is a good starting point, but environmental conditions can also play a role, like temperature and humidity.
So extreme heat can actually damage the developing seeds.
Right.
Interesting.
It's a constant learning process, a dance between science, observation,
Yeah,
and intuition.
I like that. A dance between science and intuition.
And one thing that our blogger mentions that I think we should take a deeper dive into is the drying process.
Yeah, drying those chrysanthemum heads properly feels like a make or break step for making sure the seeds are good to go next season.
Oh, yeah. It's absolutely critical. You have to find that sweet spot where the seeds dry out completely, but they don't get damaged.
And I'm guessing there are different methods for doing that.
Absolutely. There's a whole world of drying methods out there.
Well, that sounds like the perfect topic for our next segment. We'll explore the different methods for drying those chrysanthemum heads and help you choose the best approach for your needs. Okay, so let's talk about drying those chrysanthemum heads. I'm picturing rows of colorful blooms drying in the sun.
Well, you might want to hold off on that sunshine. Some gardeners love sun drying, but it can actually degrade the quality of those chrysanthemum seeds.
Really? I'm
Um,
surprised to hear that.
Yeah, too much direct sunlight can be a bad thing. Think about it. In nature, those chrysanthemum seeds are maturing. Inside the flower head, they're protected, gradually drying out, in a shaded and well-ventilated environment.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
So we're trying to recreate those conditions.
So if we're not putting them in direct sunlight, how do we create that gentle drying environment?
Air circulation is key. You want to make sure there's a constant flow of fresh air to prevent mold or mildew.
Oh, so that's maybe why those marigolds were a challenge. We didn't exactly prioritize air circulation.
Yeah, it's a common oversight, but once you understand the why behind it, it all makes sense.
So for air circulation, what are our options?
Well, you have the laying flat method and the hanging upside down method.
Okay, let's break those down.
So laying flat is great if you have a smaller harvest. You just spread the flower heads out on a screen or mesh tray. Simple and straightforward.
So what's the catch with that method?
You might need to turn them every now and then just to make sure they're drying evenly.
Gotcha. What about hanging them upside down?
That's a good way to maximize air circulation, especially if you've got a lot of flower heads. Gravity helps draw the moisture down,
That makes sense.
but you need to find the right spot. Well ventilated, protected from the sun, and enough room for all those hanging blooms.
Okay, so both methods sound good.
It often comes down to personal preference and your setup. You could even experiment. Try both and see what works best for you.
Good idea. So we've got air circulation. What about temperature?
You want a cool, dry environment, ideally between 60 and 70 degrees Fahrenheit.
Why that temperature range?
Too much heat can damage those seeds. We've got to find that sweet spot where they dry out but don't get cooked.
Makes sense. Are there certain containers that work best?
This is where things get a little controversial. Some gardeners prefer brown paper bags, others like cardboard boxes. The key is to avoid anything airtight, like plastic containers.
Because that can trap moisture and lead to mold.
Exactly.
So we've got air circulation, temperature, container choice.
Don't forget about labeling.
Label.
Oh, it's so important. Imagine you've got different chrysanthemum varieties drying, or you're trying different methods. You need those labels.
Okay, so we're labeling those containers.
Yeah.
With the variety and the date.
Exactly.
This is starting to feel much more manageable.
It really is. Once you understand the principles, it's just a matter of putting them into practice.
So we've covered air circulation, temperature, containers, and labeling. Anything else?
Patience.
Patience.
Chrysanthemum heads can take several weeks to dry completely.
Okay, so we're letting nature take its course.
Right. Rushing the process can lead to damaged seeds.
So how can we tell when those flower heads are actually ready for the next step?
They should feel completely dry and brittle. And the seeds should be dark. And they should separate easily from the flower head.
So it's a visual and a tactile check.
Exactly. And then you're ready for the next stage, extracting those seeds.
Okay, that's where I imagine things get a little messy.
You could say that.
I can't wait to dive into that process. Okay, so we're back. And it's time to extract those chrysanthemum seeds from their dried up flower heads.
It's a simple process, but there's something kind of meditative about it.
I can imagine. Surrounded by all those dried flower heads, gently coaxing out those seeds.
Exactly. You don't need any fancy equipment, just your hands and a little bit of patience.
So no special tools.
Nope. Once those flower heads are totally dry, the seeds should come out pretty easily. You can just crumble those flower heads over a bowl or tray.
Okay. Are there any tips to make this process even easier?
You can try rubbing the flower heads between your palms or use a sieve to separate the seeds from any leftover plant material.
So finding a rhythm, turning seed extraction into a mindful activity.
I like that. As you're separating those seeds, take a moment to appreciate them, those tiny vessels of life.
It's amazing to think about the potential. Each one of those seeds could become a whole new plant.
It really is. And speaking of potential, we need to talk about how to keep those seeds viable.
Right. Seed storage.
We want to create an environment that's like what the seeds would experience naturally.
Yep.
Cool, dark, and dry.
So what's the best way to store them? What kind of containers?
You'll want something airtight and moisture-proof. Small glass jars. Or airtight plastic containers. Avoid paper envelopes or bags.
Because they're not as good at keeping moisture out.
Exactly.
So we're aiming for airtight containers.
We're trying to create that stable environment so those seeds don't germinate too early.
And so they're protected.
Right. And don't forget about labeling.
Labeling again.
It's important for storage, too.
So we know what we're planting next season.
You got it.
Okay, so where should we store those labeled containers?
A cool, dark spot, like a basement, or even just a cupboard, as long as it's away from heat and sunlight.
So those seeds can rest.
Exactly. And, it's amazing how long seeds can stay viable if you store them right.
How long are we talking?
Most chrysanthemum seeds will be good for about 2 to 3 years.
So we should try to use them within that time frame.
For the best results. But even if they're a little older, there are things you can try to help them germinate.
Oh, right.
There's something called scarification, where you gently scratch the seed coat.
Scarification.
It mimics what happens in nature. When seeds get tumbled around in the soil, it helps water get in.
Okay.
And there's another technique called stratification, where you expose the seeds to cold and moisture.
Stratification.
Some chrysanthemum varieties need a period of cold to germinate.
So we're basically tricking those seeds into thinking they've gone through winter.
Exactly.
Wow, these are some great tips.
It's all about understanding what those seeds need.
So even if those seeds are a few years old, there's still hope.
Absolutely.
It sounds like we've covered just about everything there is to know about saving chrysanthemum seeds.
I think so.
Harvesting, drying, extracting, and storing.
We've gone through the whole process.
It's been a really interesting deep dive.
Learning about these tiny seeds, it's fascinating.
It is. As we wrap up this episode, remember to approach seed saving with curiosity and patience.
And a sense of wonder.
Happy gardening, everyone.